What is up, guys? Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So today, like every single Sunday, we're going to be going over the game plan for this week in the stock market. I want to go over 10 stocks I'm looking at right now, and I also want to break down what happened last week in the market and kind of what I'm expecting for this upcoming week. I want to break down the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. So sit back, relax, hit the like button, subscribe, go down below, get into the Discord chat, get two stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,600. And if you guys want more access to me throughout the day, buy and sell alerts, call outs, all real time, and you want more exclusive content, I'm doing a morning update video every single day. Check out the Patreon page. That is linked right down below. So let's get into what happened last week very quickly. And let's just start out, like always, with the S&P 500, right? And you guys should know at this point, we hit another all-time high when it comes to the S&P. That all-time high was at 3960.27, and a lot of this recovery came last week. And by recovery, I mean, you guys should also know this, the markets took a bit of a hit, right? They went from the S&P from 3950 down to about 3700. That was a 6% drop roughly, and we rebounded aggressively from that point. And last week was pretty much a green week all across the board. We went up pretty much every single day, recouping all of that loss, and again, hitting a new, fresh, brand new all-time high on the S&P and the Dow Jones. We actually saw an all-time high on the Dow Jones, but we're not going to talk about that in today's video. And when it comes to the S&P, look, the trend is continuing. On this 5-day, 5-minute, you guys can clearly see it. We hit a higher high, again, all-time high. Like I just said, we've been making higher lows in the process these past couple of days, and I'm really liking how on Friday in the morning up until about 11:30 a.m. East Coast, we triple bottomed up until that point. We saw one bottom at 39.15, another bottom at 39.15, another bottom at 39.15, hence the triple bottom, and we ripped out of that point. And I like that a lot because that is showing the strength in the uptrend. We pretty much continue the uptrend as we held above 39.15, and especially as we broke out of 39.30, which are two levels that you guys should know if you've been following my YouTube channel. I've been mentioning these levels like crazy, 39.15 and 39.30, and we broke both of those, and now we're actually gaining steam to the next big resistance at around 39.50, followed by 39.60, and the reason why 39.50 is a resistance point is because it was the old all-time high from back in the middle of February. So I think tonight, we have to see what the futures are looking like. And if you're watching this video, the futures market is open. Drop me a comment down below what the futures are looking like. But if we're getting a big gap up, that is going to be a good sign for the bulls. Obviously, if we get above 39.50, that's incredible. Above 39.60, that's even better. And we could be going to that infamous $4,000 S&P, or 4,000 point rather, S&P level that a lot of people have been talking about. And I've said on the channel, look, I would not be surprised if we get 4,000 S&P. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Looking bullish overall. And again, we have to see what the futures are looking like tonight, and especially what they're looking like when it comes to tomorrow morning and the pre-market session tomorrow, and what the large caps are looking like tomorrow. So let's get into the Nasdaq 100 very quickly, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I feel like we covered it last week, but I'll just go over a quick 30-second, 1-minute rundown of what I'm seeing. Again, we saw the S&Ps breaking out, all-time highs. We see the Dow Jones all-time high at 32,790, and we look at the Nasdaq 100, and it's not at an all-time high. In fact, it's actually at a point where it could be a bull trap. It very well could be, because we're not out of the moving average resistances yet on the 4-hour chart, and we could potentially end up dumping under this point. And if we break this 5-day, 5-minute little uptrend we're seeing, and we do something like that, we cliff dive under 12,900, 12,800, I really think we could be seeing more volatility, A, and B, we'll probably see some more downside. And you guys saw the 10-year bond yield on Friday exploded. the Nasdaq 100 on Friday went down. So we'll see if this downdraft from Friday continues into Monday, and we'll see what the 10-year is looking like and what the high growth stocks and how they're reacting to the 10-year in the pre-market session tomorrow. I think that's very important. So we're watching out for this being a potential bull trap. If we break 13,000, 13.3, 13.5 eventually, I feel like that's going to be where we're seeing momentum shifts. So watch out for those points on the Nasdaq 100. And let's get into some stocks here. I have about 10. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10 stocks here that I'm looking to break down with you guys. Number one is Pinterest, ticker symbol PINS. And this is one that has been beaten down. A lot of these social media, tech-oriented plays, advertising plays, whatever you want to call it, they've been hit. I mean, this one's in a bear market. It's down about 21%. And the reason why I like it is because we held 63. Look, we held 63 back in the end of January, and now we held it a couple days ago on the 8th of March, and we're ripping up higher from 63 to the low 70s. And you may be asking yourself, Stas, is there any juice left in this move? I think so. I think if we could take out this 50 SMA here on the 4-hour, I think we might see a move up to 77, which is what we did, the previous couple of times we hit 63. We, moved back up to the, higher 70s. And that gives it about 6 to 7% upside from here. And I think if 77 could break, which it might not, but I think if it could, or rather if it does, I think we might see a push to low 80s. And of course, that gives it on a technical perspective even more upside because that's a breakout if we get above 77. And we could get even more momentum at that point. So I think Pinterest is gearing up for a move. And if the tech-oriented stocks recover slowly, I think this one is bound to recover and do well as well, obviously, right? And one more thing worth noting here, guys, is this could also be a head and shoulder, so beware. That is if we fail at 77, right? If we fail at 77 and we end up, going down back to the mid-60s, low 60s, this is probably going to be a no-no. But if we break the neckline here at 77, that is where I think there's going to be even more upside, and the head and shoulder would be broken at that point. So that's Pinterest. FedEx is another one that I've talked about a lot recently. They report earnings this week, which is why I want to mention it again. They report on the 18th, which is what? Is that Thursday or something? So watch out for FedEx. And the main pattern I'm seeing here is an inverse head and shoulder. Left shoulder, you got the head right here. Then the right shoulder is right here, which we've seen a lot of consolidation in this right shoulder for the past month, over a month at this point. And just recently, the past couple of days, which brought FedEx back on my radar, we broke above 265. And we took out, that was actually the high from back in beginning of March, middle of February. We took out that high, 265. Now we're trading at 270, and I feel like this is it's pretty much off to the races. That's what I'm thinking here with FedEx. I think the upper end of the target, at least for me, is around 290. I think it could get to 290, maybe 300, 305, and of course it depends on these earnings. And we have some time until the earnings, so we might see a little bit of volatility heading into earnings. We might even rally heading into earnings, which is where we could see a move. And then we might have to wait and sit back and see what they actually report to let the stock shake itself out before getting back in again. So I'm looking at FedEx as a play here, probably even before earnings. And then after earnings, I think there's going to be even more potential once we get guidance, EPS, revenue, all the numbers, and so forth. So I like FedEx this week for sure. This one is on the breakout list, top of the list for me at least, right? And Netflix is another one, NFLX. Let me pull it up for you all. Take a look here. Uptrend is intact. We held a higher low at 432, followed by 465, 475, followed by 490. And then recently we just held about 500. Now we're ripping above the 510, 515 area. We're sitting right under 520, and I think this has juice to the mid 500s. And you can see, look, there's a 50 SMA right ahead of where we are on this 4-hour chart. So that is resistance, and we've struggled there in the past 1-2 trading days. But I think if Netflix takes out, let's say, 520, maybe 525, that's going to be a nice play to probably 540, 545, and that's about 3-4% of profit there. And if we break above 545, guys, this could even go 565. And you guys know 565 is another big point. I've mentioned a ton here about Netflix, and that's been a resistance ever since July. Multiple times we've gotten hit there. And this is actually an ascending triangle pattern if you look at it. Big resistance at 565, but we're uptrending into that resistance. And I think ultimately we're going to squeeze out of that point. The question is, when is that going to happen? That's really the million-dollar question. Nobody knows, but we're going to play it accordingly. And again, 525, if that breaks, that is going to be a good sign that Netflix, in my opinion, is going to the mid 500s. So watch out for that. Sundial is another one which I typically don't talk about, these low-cost stocks here. This is literally a penny stock. It's $1.42. A couple months ago, it was 14 cents. It just hit a high recently of $4.87. That's unbelievable performance. If you bought at 15 cents and sold at $4, I mean, if you were one of those people, shoot me a comment. Congrats. I mean, that's just amazing if that was one of you. And now, again, I'm not too interested in penny stocks, but this is one that I've been tracking. It's an MJ play, and you guys know what MJ is. And recently, it's come down quite a bit from $5. And I mean, look, I could have told you that was going to happen looking at this chart and being in the game for a while at this point, for years on years at this point. When a penny stock goes up this much, it's likely, I mean, it could always go up higher and higher and higher. Eventually, it's going to crash. But when it goes up this quick, it's likely to see a sharp pullback, especially after a massive short squeeze. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, look, it went from $4.87 down to $1, and now we're hovering at about $1.30. So they're reporting earnings on the 17th, so 3 days away from today, Sunday, March 14th, when you're watching this video. At least most of you are watching it on March 14th, right? And we can see we're hovering between, let me show you guys these two levels. One of them is $1.30, $1.30, and the resistance is $1.50. So $1.30 support, $1.50 resistance. And we can also see, I'm not sure if you guys can grab this, or see it rather. Look at this inverse head and shoulder. We have the left shoulder right here. We got the head right here. And it looks like, to me, the right shoulder, left shoulder head right here, and the right shoulder right here, it looks like, to me, this is going to consolidate a bit between 130 to 150 before the right shoulder tries to complete the move, which would be, of course, if we break out of 150, go to 175, and if 175 breaks, we get to about 225, 250. That is where I think the right shoulder would complete. So, by the looks of it, guys, this could be a breakout. It really could be a breakout play. We have the inverse head and shoulder, earnings coming up. You guys know the hype around this stock. And again, it's very risky, but there's a lot of upside. Let's be honest, guys. And what I'm also noticing, let me pull up a smaller time frame chart. You guys can see an ascending triangle as well. I'm not sure if you can see this. Kind of, right? It's an uptrend right here. Ascending triangle, we're making higher lows, but we're also getting rejected at $1.50. So there's a lot going on this chart, but I think there's some upside for sure. We'll see how it plays out. And again, there's earnings coming up on the 18th. That is Sundial. F-Cell, also known as Fuel Cell, is another one I'm watching. You guys can see on this hourly chart, we've been decimated. The stock has been decimated, at least. I don't own it, but the stock has been decimated. This has gone from $27 all the way down to $11. That was a couple days ago, and since then it's recovered quite a bit. It's gone up to about $18. We're seeing a bullish cross, also known as a golden cross, here on the hourly chart. 50 SMAs crossing above the 180 SMA. And Fuel Cell, their earnings are actually on Tuesday, so that's the soonest report out of the stocks we've talked about today. So Fuel Cell, keep that high on the watch list. And if we pull back on the 4-hour, you guys can see it's slowly changing the trend. And, a high was at $30. We got down to 11, so it got crushed. And now we're at a big resistance, right around $19, $20, right around the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour. And this is also an inverse head and shoulder. It's in the making, right? The right shoulder is not there yet. It's not really forming yet, but I think there's potential it might. So we might see some volatility if this right shoulder forms itself and ultimately breaks out of, let's say, $20. That is going to be a big move, in my opinion, on Fuel Cell, and especially if they report solid earnings, which again are in 2 days from now. So watch out for this one. I think this could end up making its way back into the low 20s, mid 20s, no doubt about it. So that's FCEL. Upwork is another one, UPWK. This is one that is also on the verge of breaking out. I mean, this went down from $64 to $39, so that was a 40% drop. Talk about a freaking drop there, guys. That was well into a bear market, and now we're at an inflection point pretty much right around this 180 SMA, 50 SMA on the 4-hour. In fact, we actually gapped up on Friday and started to break out. We're actually above these moving averages as we're talking right now. So I think there's room, in my opinion, to about $55. I think now that we're peaking out of the moving averages here, I think 55 is coming, which gives Upwork about 10% upside from where we are right now. And 55 is a resistance point, which if we get close to that point, I wouldn't necessarily chase it. Maybe we could play a breakout above 55, but if we're at like 53, 54, I'm not going to chase it. But anywhere low 50s, I think there's opportunity to that 55 resistance, which was a point of struggle on Upwork stock pretty much from February into the month of March. So that's Upwork, UPWK. Micron, MU is another one I'm watching here. This is one that is actually forming head and shoulder, not an inverse head and shoulder like most of or all of the ones pretty much we've talked about today. A lot of those are inverse head and shoulders, right? Most of them that we talked about. But this one is a regular head and shoulder. You guys can see the left shoulder right here. You guys can see the head right here. And then this is the right shoulder. So is this the perfect pattern to go long in right now? Probably not. I think Micron could maybe see a lower price of about low 80s. I think that's possible. Maybe 83, maybe 81, $80 on the lower end. That's if the right shoulder completes. That's if the head and shoulder actually plays out. But it might not play out. I think if we see a breakout of, let's say, let me show you this. If we break out of this little downtrend I just drew, and that's anywhere from 89, $90. If we break out of that area, I can see 95 come for Micron. So it really depends on $90. That's a big spot. That's a resistance. And support is at about 85. If we break under 85, and especially 82, 83, that right shoulder and the head and shoulder is probably going to form, right? But if we break 90 on the upside, I think 95 could be coming. That could be about a 6 to 7% move, maybe 8% move if we end up hitting all-time high. So that is Micron. Zoom is another one, ZM, which has been beaten down for sure. I mean, I've been on the channel saying that I think Zoom is maybe it's still overvalued here, but I don't think it's going to be obsolete when the crisis, the CV is completely over. I still think people are going to use Zoom, and I think they're going to use it a lot more than people think. So this could be a bargain. It might not be. It really depends on the way you're looking at it. I believe Kathy Wood was saying that she thinks Zoom is undervalued here, which may sound crazy. That's her perspective. I don't necessarily agree that it's undervalued. I mean, that's crazy. But I don't think it's too overvalued either. You know, I'm kind of in the middle. I wouldn't, maybe fair value, maybe a little bit above fair value is where it's at right now. And it's so hard to, value a stock like this, a company like this. But either way, I'm looking at this trend. It's holding the uptrend from 230. That was the previous low. We took out 335. That was a low from a couple weeks ago. But overall, we're holding this support of the wedge. You guys can see it the way I've drawn it out here. But we're still downtrending as well. And we're at a point where there's resistance coming up at 375. That's a pretty strong resistance, right? We're trading at 345 now. And 375 was support back in November, right? You guys can see it here back in December. And back in January, that was a point of support, and even in February. So I think now that we're about to touch this 50 SMA on the 4-hour, I think if we break 345, 350, I think we might be able to make that move to 375. I think there's about 5 to 6% upside here on Zoom, and if 575 breaks, expect it to go back to 400 in the short term. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe towards the resistance of this wedge, that could be anywhere above 400 even. Maybe 425 at the higher end, maybe 435. So, Zoom is one that I think is at the lower end of its channel, the lower end of this pattern, and I think there's more upside. I think there's a relief rally, if you want to call it, in store for Zoom. And Run is the same thing. Sunrun, ticker symbol RUN. I mean, this went down from $100 a couple weeks ago. Now it just hit 48 a couple days ago, and now it's trading at 62, and there's a big resistance coming up at about 65, 66. So I think Sunrun, if we take out these levels, and mind you, this is also looking like an inverse head and shoulder in the making. If we take out this point of resistance at about 67, right? If we do that, I'm thinking the inverse head and shoulder is going to form. The right shoulder is going to form, and that's going to be anywhere from, okay, we break 65, right shoulder could form anywhere from, and it could complete anywhere from $75 to $80, $83. That's what I'm looking at here for Sunrun. That's if this inverse head and shoulder plays out, and I think it's possible. I think it's really possible, and especially if this 180 SMA on this 4-hour break. So I like Sunrun, RUM. That is one that I'm for sure keeping an eye on for this week. And Melly is the last one, Mercado Libre, which if I just clear this set for you guys, let me show you all. Clear the drawing set, redraw this. Okay, uptrend is continuing. It is holding, right, at about 1,400, 1,390. And now we're about to break this 50 SMA. On Friday, we went down 1.3%, and that's not that big of a deal. But if we dump off maybe 5% this week, for example, if we see a big rejection at this 50 SMA, that's going to be a big deal for the bulls at least. For the bears, that's awesome. They're going to be making money. For the bulls, though, they want to see 1550 break. That's a sticking point. I think if 1550 breaks, that is where the 50 SMA is here on the 4-hour, and that is where support was back in the beginning of 2020, or 2021 rather. I think if 1550 breaks, we're probably going to go 1,700 on the stock. I mean, look at this. 1,700 is a big level, big level. That was resistance back in the end of December. It was support back in the end of January, right? And it was also resistance in the beginning of March. So really, guys, listen, I think if 1550 breaks, 1,700 on Melly, that is a beautiful gap. 10%. That put us right under the 180 SMA resistance here on the 4-hour. So watch out for that this week. That is ticker symbol MELI. And those are the stocks. We talked about Pinterest, FedEx, Netflix, Sundial, Fuel Cell, Upwork, MU, Micron, Zoom, Sunrun, and Mercado Libre. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and what are your top stocks for this week? Drop those down below in the comments. Make sure to also hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel, and make sure to also, yes, there's more, hit that notification bell and make sure all the notifications are turned on. And you could also get some free stocks. Hey, if you want some free money valued up to $1,600, the 2 stocks they are from WeBull, that's linked right down below. All you have to do is deposit $100 and you get 2 free stocks, and you guys can get $10 from M1 Finance, $10 from Coinbase. All of those are linked down below. And if you want to get more updates from me throughout the day, buy and sell alerts, call outs, real time, and if you want more access to me throughout the day, morning update videos as well, check out the Patreon. That is linked right down below. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for asking, or Jesus, guys. Asking. Thanks for watching. As always, keep crushing the markets. Stay safe out there, guys. And yeah, keep crushing it. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.